Hi guys, the Metal Maniac back again, and in this video, I'm going to be doing a review of the live album Daemonic Rites by Mayhem. This is their newest live album, and it came out earlier this year. So before I get into it, I'm going to name off the band members really quickly. I didn't even check to see where the credits are. Hold on. Ah, here we go. The credits for some reason are on the inside. Tillock on guitar, Necrobutcher on bass, Attila on vocals, Hellhammer on drums, and Ghoul on guitar. Sorry, I almost skipped Ghoul because for some reason I can never remember the fact that they have two guitarists now. Mainly because I mostly listen to the old stuff. I don't like a lot of their newer albums. But anyway, hold on, let me get this back in the sleeve really quick. Alright. So the album was recorded during a Damon tour, so a lot of the first, I'd say the first half of this live album is mostly songs from Damon, except for, I think, one that's from, what album was it again? It was one of the ones with Maniac on vocals. Chimera, yeah, there's one song on the first half from Chimera. All the rest are from Damon, and then, there are, all these live versions are mostly from, Damon, and then, the second half of the live album are songs from live versions of songs from their classic era. But anyway, this live album starts off with a atmospheric intro, which is I'm honestly not the biggest fan of intros. Some intros are done really well, but mostly it's just whatever. But again, it's one of those things where if it's on a live album, I don't usually mind it. But yeah, I'm just sort of, I don't really have many opinions on intros other than live albums are okay. Most of the time on studio recordings aren't necessary. But yeah, it's just a sort of basic intro. The first actual song on here is called, sorry, it's really hard to see the, combining the lighting, the really poor lighting in here, the fact that the back of the thing is really dark and hard to make out the track listing. I have to really squint at it. Oh, there we go. Falsified and Hated. Yeah, the thing about the Damon album is the fact that there are a couple of really good songs on that album, but a lot of that album is just really forgettable and sounds kind of like generic modern black metal. And unfortunately, Falsified and Hated is one of those songs. Same thing with To Dominion. It's just another one that from the Damon album that's just meh. And then Malum and Bad Blood. This live album, not first half, but side A. Okay, so it's a double-sided live album, or not double-sided, but double vinyl live album. So there's side A, B, C, and D. Unfortunately, side A, which has most of the Damon songs, or at least most of the most Damon songs on that are featured on this live album, yeah, they're not the better Damon songs. So yeah, the entirety of side A, honestly, is I really skip over and But thankfully, from side B onwards, this live album just gets better and better. So yeah, side B starts off with the one and only song from the Chimera album that I actually like, and that's the song My Death. Although I don't actually like the album version, not just because Maniac's and vocals, but I think the production, the weird sounding production on that album just bothers me for some reason. But this live version with Attila on vocals is fantastic. They actually played this song when I saw them live, and it was my first time hearing that song in a long time. I haven't even heard that song since the one and only time I listened to the Chimera album, and I kind of forgot that it existed, both the album and the song. But yeah, this live version is absolutely fantastic. It's a lot more grandiose and bombastic, and Attila just nails it with the vocals on this song. And yeah, I absolutely love it. And this, to me, in terms of this live album, this song is the true opening track to this live album. But yeah, side B starts off extremely strong, unlike side A. My Death is a fantastic song. This version, not the original album version. Next up is Symbols of the Blood Sword. I don't remember this on the Damon album. This actually might be from a different album, but I don't remember. But whatever the case is, this live version is fantastic. Just another great sort of addition to one of the better songs from their newer era. That actually sound not only like a Mayhem song, but just a really great and memorable one. Mayhem has a problem nowadays where a lot of they have a couple different problems. They either sound generic and not like Mayhem, or just have a very weird production sound. A couple of their newer albums, not all of them, but I'd say at least 3 of their newer albums. Yeah, and then Symbols of the Blood Swords. Wherever this one's from, again, I can't remember, but this live version is great. I love it. Next is sort of an atmospheric interlude, I guess. Voices of Attila. This is another one I don't recognize. This might be just from this show. No, actually, maybe from most of their live shows, at least their newer live shows, because there was this thing that I think, if I remember correctly, was actually this. But yeah, it's just some weird sort of vocal whispering in the background before the next song. Yeah, it's an interlude. I don't really have much opinion on it other than it exists. I don't know. Yeah, that ends side B. Yeah, for some reason there's only 3 songs on side B, but again, side B is where this album truly starts, in my opinion. 2 really great songs and a interlude that's, again, just it's fine, I guess. Starting side C is a live version of my favorite Mayhem song of all time, Freezing Moon. And it is fantastic. I wouldn't say it's better than the De Mysteriis Dom Satanas version in terms of a version that has Attila on vocals, but I'd say it's just as good. Same thing with when I saw them live. That one, they performed it identically to the version on here, and it is great. Although I will say, oddly enough, the live version that's from the De Mysteriis Dom Satanas live album is not as good as this version in terms of live versions with Attila on vocals. This version just completely, like, it encaptures the original version as a, like, it takes what was great about the original version, not the original version, but the original Attila version from De Mysteriis Dom Satanas, and just amplifies that to, like, 10,000. Like, I don't think it's better than the version from Live in Leipzig with Dead on vocals, but again, in terms of Attila performance on this song, in terms of that sort of the Attila rendition, I guess, it is fantastic and is just as good, if not slightly, not slightly better, just as good as the original Attila version from De Mysteriis Dom Satanas. But yeah, another fantastic live song. Next up is a live version of Pagan Fears. This one is really good. They play it even faster than the original studio version. And it is just a great song to just have as a faster paced live version. I'd say I kind of like this live version just a tad more than the original, than the De Mysterious De Satan. Why can't I say this word today? Than the De Mysterious Dom Satanis studio version. Yeah, it's just another great live rendition of a classic Mayhem song. Next up is a live version of Life Eternal. This is I don't even know how many times they've played this live, but I don't think they played it live that much. At least from what I've heard from other live recordings and stuff. Post De Mysterious Dom Satanis. Yeah, it's another great live track. It's another one where they do amp up the speed compared to the original studio version. Yeah, it's just another great one that, again, I do feel warrants a pushed up, speedier tempo in a live setting. Because it sounds great that way. Next up is a live version of Buried by Time and Dust. Oh, sorry, this is starting the last side of the album, side D. Yeah, a live version of Buried by Time and Dust, another great live rendition. Another one where they amp up the speed even more than the studio version. Just another great song. Next up is probably one of the weirdest things to see in a live album, and that's the sort of instrumental. There we go. The instrumental. I can never pronounce this. Silver Enfang. I don't know how to pronounce it, but Silter Enfang or something like that. I can never figure out how that's pronounced, but yeah, honestly, I didn't like this on the Death Crush EP, and I don't like it here, even more so on here, because it's just a weird thing to have to perform that thing on a live show, and I don't know, it's just something that just I've never liked, and it's really the only downside of the latter half of this live album. But thankfully, the next song on here is, I'd say, my favorite song on here in terms of a live rendition of the classic songs that they have on here. And that's the live version of Death Crush. I'd say this is probably my #1 favorite version of Death Crush, and they played it exactly on this the exact same as they did during the time that I saw them. Just another great song where they ramped up the speed. And Attila actually changes his vocal style on this one and a couple of other songs from the Death Crush EP, where he sort of mimics Maniac's style, but at the same time still kind of keeps his sort of gruffness of his own vocal style. Oddly enough, Attila does a better job at Maniac's vocal style than Maniac does at his own vocal style. I think it has to do with just the register and just the way it's done. Like, Maniac's high-pitched shrieks on the Death Crush EP, just, it doesn't sound right. Like, I've said it before, it sounds weird. It sounds like a combination of a toddler throwing a temper tantrum and a dying cat. But whatever. But yeah, oddly enough, Attila just pulls the vocal style off way better. And again, I think it's because of just the way he does it, and the way, and just his voice, his overall voice compared to Maniac's voice, and just the fact that he has a little bit more gruffness in it as well, in the vocals as well. But yeah, it's just in my opinion, the perfect version of the song Death Crush. No matter talking about a studio version or a live version, it's, in my opinion, the best version of the song. Next up is a live version of the song Carnage, another great live rendition of a classic Mayhem song. And I have to say, this is probably, I'd say probably my third favorite version. I'd say my top two favorites are definitely, I'd say my number one is the version from the Freezing Moon / Carnage demo. My second favorite is the version from the Pure Fucking Armageddon demo. And then this is my third favorite version. Yeah, and this is my favorite live version. Yeah, I do like I do love the live in Leipzig version with Dead on vocals. But in terms of live versions, I honestly think this is the best one. Again, just like with a lot of these classic songs, they take these songs and just speed them the hell up. And they sound great with that ramped up speed and a ferocity. And it's even more so on this one because this, I think, at least at the time of when the song was originally, during, that early era, I believe it was actually if I remember throughout all their songs, I think it is their fastest song. And it's an already pretty fast-paced song. To even ramp that fast pace up even more, it adds, and it just somehow just it takes an already fast song and makes it somehow even better and even faster and even more ferocious. But yeah, an absolutely fantastic live version of the song Carnage. And then it ends with a fantastic live version of the song Pure Fucking Armageddon. Again, they ramp up the speed. I'd say, I don't know. I can't decide whether I like this live version better than the Live in Leipzig version, but I don't know. I'd say maybe it's a tie, although my favorite version is definitely the version from the Pure Fucking Armageddon demo. Yeah, it's still a fantastic live version, and that ends the live album. Hold on, I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Anyway, so before I get to my final thoughts, my overall thoughts about the live album, there's a couple different things I want to talk about. First up, the cover. It's not artwork, it's actually just a zoomed-in photo of Attila. But I love it. I love how it's literally just a photograph from the live show, yet it feels more, what's the word? It feels more fitting than anything in terms of, like, artwork. Like, it just, I love, like, actual artwork on an album, but sometimes with a live album, I think just a clear photo of a frame from the live show works even better. And I love this. It's just Attila sort of, hunched over, raising his hand with the microphone and like a skull in his hand. Him just sort of like cloak, has this like dark cloak on. It just works very well. And then the lighting is that sort of very dim, harsh red lighting. And then you get the Mayhem logo in sort of a, oh no, it's a gray. I thought it was a light silver at first, but no, it's a gray color. And then of course, this doesn't come on all copies. It just comes on if you go to their live shows and happen to get this, it's signed, but usually it's not signed, of course. But luckily, I have a signed copy. But anyway, one of the really only downsides about this packaging is the back. I mean, even in a bright room, like my room, like it's the lighting is not good during the evenings. That's why I usually don't record during the evenings, but whatever. But even in a bright room, it's still really difficult to make out. Like, you'd have to just go underneath a lamp or something right there and just look at it because it's too dark. Like, you have a black backdrop and extremely dark blackish gray, greenish sort of like design here, and then the track listing is in this sort of murky, dark, blackish green color. You can't even see it on camera, even like that. It's really bad. I'd say it's not quite as bad as the back of the Record Store Day re-release of Sad Wings of Destiny by Judas Priest. It was literally just dark brown background with dark brown track listing, and you couldn't see it at all. At least if you hold it up close enough, you could kind of see it, and if you're in a bright room, you could, it's a little bit more legible, but I don't know, I just don't like the fact that you have to be in an exact certain amount of lighting to be able to see it, rather than just looking at it for wherever you are, or whatever, if the room is super bright or not too bright or whatever. Yeah, I know. I just have I have a problem with albums that are like this for some reason. I don't know. It's a nitpick of mine. But anyway, enough about the packaging, or at least the outside. So this is a gatefold. This doesn't come with anything extra in terms of just anything inside, but the gatefold is just a collage of different images from the live show, and then the credits on certain pictures. I don't know if I could get all that on camera. To back up a little bit, there we go. Yeah, honestly, not too exciting on the inside, but at least there's something, Anyway, I'm not gonna pull out both vinyl because they're the exact same color, but this is the colored vinyl variant, or at least one of the versions. I don't remember what the other colored vinyl variants were, but there was the standard black colored vinyl and a couple different colored vinyl. This is the translucent magenta vinyl. There we go. Actually, hold on. Give me a second. If I could do this one-handed and not drop the vinyl. I did bring this for a reason. Because of the really bad lighting in here, like I've said before. But, if I could just get this aimed at the thing right, but in a lighter environment, the light would shine through. It's not working very well with the flashlight, but in a lighter environment, it would go from sort of a dark magenta to almost like a magenta, like a mix of like magenta and sort of like a dark pink color. So I always like those colored vinyl where it's like one shade if it's like if you're just holding it, but if you hold it up to a light, it's a slightly different shade of that, or slightly different variant of that shade that it initially is. But I don't know if it's like that or if it's just, a trick of the light, but I like that about colored vinyl where it just changes a shade ever so slightly if you hold it up and you just shine a light through it. But yeah, really fantastic magenta colored vinyl, translucent magenta. And as I said, the other vinyl is the exact same, so I don't need to pull that one out. So overall, while this live album doesn't start off that strong, the rest of the album, other than side A, like after side A, that's where this album truly shines. Like, and again, that's mainly due to the fact that majority of the first half of this live album is songs from Damon, which I stated before. Even though there's a couple really good songs from that album, I do find a lot of that album is just very generic modern black metal, and it just doesn't even sometimes it doesn't even sound particularly like Mayhem. Like, it just sounds like a generic modern black metal band. And that's it. And again, that's not really Mayhem's fault, I guess. Like, they're trying something. They try something new every full length studio album, and I guess I could give them credit for that. But anyway, I'm rambling. But yeah, side B, C, and D, all the rest of the album is filled with some absolutely fantastic live renditions of classic songs. And even, you know, side B has 2 great songs. I think, again, I don't know where Symbols of the Blood Swords is from originally. I don't think it's from Damon. I can't remember exactly, but wherever that's from, great live rendition. And then the absolute best version of the song, My Death. And again, sides C and D are probably my favorite. Again, they're great live renditions of the classic Mayhem songs. The only thing I really wish that was on here was a live rendition of De Mysteriis Dom Satanis. But it is what it is, and at least I got to hear them play that live when I saw them. But overall, I'm probably gonna give this live album a rating of I'd say 8.8 out of 10. Again, the pretty dull first side, you know, side A, kind of lowers the rating quite a bit. But I do think it's definitely not as bad if it was just a side A and side B album, you know, if it was just one vinyl. I do think the rating would definitely go down a lot, because again, majority of the record is pretty forgettable. But the fact that it isn't that, and that they have more space on here to add more live songs, definitely kind of fixes the issue of, you know, the dullness of side A, and it balances everything out. You know, there's definitely a lot more great about this album than there is negative. But yeah, it's 8.8 out of 10. Alright, so that's it for this video. Hope you're... Jeez, I'm getting tired. Sorry, I'm stumbling with my words already. But hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.